self-confident, you have to show that you're self-confident. So talking about that explicitly is very important as well. Self-promotion is kind of a yucky topic. You know, how do you do it in a tasteful way? But you have to do it to a certain degree. And then at a certain point, if you're lucky, you get an agent or a PR person to help you with it. For example, here I have some PR for a woman named Sarah Chang, who was a child prodigy. And the first picture is a perfect picture of a child prodigy, age 6. And the other picture is of Sarah Chang more recently, who's in her 20s and is still an outstanding violinist, but she certainly couldn't wear the dress or have the style of the 6-year-old effectively, so now she has to be glamorous. And this is very effective. And then risk-taking is very important. The optimal contribution one can make at the peak of talent development is creating something exciting and original that solves an important problem, is elegant or transformational in that it generates new thinking or behavior on the part of others. Addressing fears. If you look on any list of things that scare people the most, you can find public speaking up there at the top. Even professional actors and musicians experience stage fright and have been known to self-medicate with beta blockers or heart medication. In fact, I read that surgeons have been known to do that as well, which is very disconcerting. And the Juilliard teachers were very wanting very much for their students not to turn to medication to deal with this, so they would do activities like have them run up and down the stairs before they came in for their lesson to simulate shortness of breath and their rapid heartbeat, and then they would learn how to bring down their breath and their heart rate before they would start playing. So they got used to that sensation and controlling it. At the Beijing Olympics, American shooters were up against a Chinese shooter who was a national hero, favored to win the gold. To prepare shooters, U.S. sports psychologists urged athletes to listen to iPod files of crowd noises during their workouts, so they would also get used to the environment where they were going to be stressed out. We can do this too with practice testing, practice presentations for science fair, debate team, and elevator speeches. That's the 30 seconds where you get to give your presentation. Let's ask ourselves some hard questions. Let's say we focus on a specific domain of science. Will all domains of science be addressed? Are there different ways you can test or audition to ensure you're getting the most appropriate students? Some children are discovered as talented in response to interesting educational experiences. Are there such curricula available in schools or outside of schools? Do you have talent scouts that are well versed in what factors you're looking for, including psychosocial skill potential? Juilliard teachers can pick someone in 10 minutes. Do we have anything that could serve that purpose? Do we want to? What would be an ideal 10-minute audition for you? Let me summarize the themes of this presentation. Here's what I wanted you to know. Giftedness is not entirely innate. It gets manifested in domains. Good psychosocial skills allow individuals to develop their gifts optimally, and psychosocial skills can be taught. what I want you to feel. I want you to feel excited to know that some of these ideas will unlock the potential of many people you know, including yourself. And what you can do is find respected experts in domains to provide coaching for psychosocial skills. And it really depends. In the US, sports coaches are just really admired. And having them come in and talk to students about how they do mental skills training with athletes is very effective. And it's not threatening because they're not talking about their type of talent, but they can hear it because they admire the coaches so much. And help young people to see the possible trajectories they could take toward meeting their domain-specific goals. So it's not just getting them from this year to the next year, but what does it look like to go through the whole process of talent development to a career? Some thoughts I'd like to leave you with. 4 lessons from the studies I talked about as applied to India. Now, this is just what I came up with in thinking about being here. And we said ability matters, and India is world-renowned in many domains. You're not only renowned in science, which, thank you, we steal many of your scientists, in music, in entrepreneurship, philosophy, visual arts, and the media. The film industry is very influential, and these are all amazing areas where domain-specific talent development could be focused. Opportunities matter, but where will the focus be placed? So you have the question of the rural-urban, but there's also, will you place your focus on those with potential or on those who already show potential? So are you going to put all of your energy in trying to find potential, or are you going to put the same amount of energy into then, once you find it, giving them what they need? Certainly both are needed. Psychosocial skills matter, I've said it many times. Young people taking on the risks of highly competitive and creative pursuits need psychosocial skills to support their efforts. And finally, long and short-term planning matter. A conference like this one provides a great opportunity to think through how to enhance talent development on the local, national, and international level. And I certainly look forward to learning a tremendous amount from conference participants that I hope to apply to my work when I return. Thank you. Do we have time for questions? Or?
I've already started mulling over. Okay. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, but both of them are related to the same topic.
Okay.
And that is the behavioral aspect. And it's got to do the manifestations, of really gifted minds. And I want your reaction to two observations. The first is, is how do you react to that observation that chaotic a chaotic mind, you know, is an attribute of gifted mind, as opposed to orderly and disciplined thinking, logical thinking. And the second one is that is there a common trait where you alluded to it, but very briefly, you know, about being dissatisfied with the status quo. And you are never satisfied. And as you said, you know, you do something. And for instance, you are writing something, even before the ink is dried on the piece of paper, you're dissatisfied. And you want to say always, you know, dissatisfied, restless, you know. And you always want to question the status quo. How would you react to these two statements?
My reaction about the chaos and the order is that they are probably sequential and cyclical, and that a totally chaotic mind would not be able to sort through everything to come to a best solution.
So you've got to decide how chaotic it has to be. Is there somewhere that you draw a line?
My understanding is that it's a cyclical thing where there's time for chaos and a time for order, and that both kinds of minds could create something, and perhaps a different level of creativity. So, for example, being a performer might require a different kind of order or chaos than somebody doing something transformational across field. But I would say that both are required and that they are in cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the dissatisfaction part?
Well, I was saying that the dissatisfaction part is more prevalent by people whose motivation is to show up, you know, to prove something, as opposed to doing it because they're just curious. But probably most people are motivated by having to prove something. So most of us are dissatisfied. No, I mean, or do any of you feel like you can relax and just sit around? It's just not. It's not part of our. It's not part of our DNA, I guess. But
Is dissatisfaction versus shameless submission.
you're giving really.
Accepted.
I'm not. What do you mean by?
You accept everything. You're so gullible that you don't question it. Does
No.
you
No.
create anything out of it? That kind of a behavior?
I think you have. This is one of the questions about teachability, because in the beginning you have to be open to instruction. But a teacher who would expect you to be teachable and never bite back, as they say, is not a good teacher. But there has to be a point at which you're open to learning from other people. So it's also, I guess the answer is this is all developmental. So developmentally, it's good to be open to instruction, and then over time, be able to fight back. Developmentally, it's good to have chaos, order in the problem-solving process. That's how I would respond.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have a question. It's interesting that you mentioned the Juilliard School of Music, but in the US there are also very good schools for science.
Yes.
For example, some famous scientists like Gell-Mann or Feynman have come from, say, the Bronx School of Science.
My school.
Oh, well. So are there studies on these schools and how these students, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, I just finished a study funded by